Now Materialize on the other hand uses some quick float conditions, and we will be now discussing about it and we will be observing the results. So let's get back to our project, and in the very first case all we are now going to do, we are discarding this first block of element here. We will be practically using two different classes here, and we'll be using two different blocks over here. We are discarding this first block. So there it is. Now the first block is being now discarded. This is the call s4, so let's make it call s3. Discard each and every header tags those we have produced so far. We do not have a need for them right now, and we have created a 3-column block here. Now if we get back to our project and reload, now we can see that we are practically working with two distinct blocks over here, and we can see that both of them are practically left aligned. Now for the time being I am just removing all those classes. Those have been used for the alignment properties. First of all, have a closer look into our project, and we can see that both these blocks been created, those are practically aligned into a side-by-side position, and both of them are practically having no gaps with each other. Now if for say we use this left class in case of this first block element, and in the second case if we use this right class over here, now just press Ctrl S and get back to your project and reload, and now we can see that the red box, it is now aligned into the extreme left position. On the other hand, this green box, it is now aligned into the extreme right position. We have practically used these two classes over here. So if we press now F12 and if we choose any of these boxes, for say I am choosing this red box, and now if we scroll down into the code inspector panel, into the extreme right panel practically, then we can see that here is the left class that has been used along with this red box, and we can see that the float is in the extreme left position. So the class is associated with a property of float left. That means the box or the element will be shifted in the extreme left position due to this particular property of float left. Now on the other hand, if we select this green box over here, we can see that this is the right class that we have used here along with this green box, and we can see that the float right attribute is provided in case of this green box over here. So this left class, it is practically associated with the float left condition. That means the entire content will be shifted into the extreme left condition. On the other hand, we have a right class that is associated with a float right condition, which is going to deviate the element into the extreme right. So both of these classes practically, those are practically quick float classes, those been used with the Materialize CSS, and on using this we can provide quick float properties into our content. Those we do not need to mention anywhere into our style sheet document. So if we just remove this float right over here, just uncheck this box, and you can see that it is back into its previous position. Now we have created all those things. First of all, close this selector panel and get back to your project, and here we are removing both these classes over here, this left class and this right class, and we can see that all of them are conjugated together. Now we will be using some inbuilt hoverable classes over here. So in case of hover classes, there's practically a quick class which has been defined in Materialize CSS, which is going to provide a kind of hovering properties into the elements where you applied that particular class. So if we get back to our project, and here in case of this green box here, if we provide for say card panel is practically a separate class which has been defined in Materialize, and this is practically the actual class which will be acting on hovering this particular element. Now we have created this one so far. So if we get back to our project and reload, now we can see that this box has been created over here, this white box which has been created over here, and if we now hover our mouse into it, we can see that some hover properties is been observed into this particular box. So if we press now F12 and if we select this particular box, we can see that there is a hoverable class here which says on hovering condition box shadow will be having all those properties with these different shades over here which has been provided here, and this is the card panel that we have used along with this box. So in case if you do not wish to use any kind of card panel, for say I am removing this card panel class from here, pressing Ctrl S, get back to your project and reload, and you can see that actually that particular card panel class is now removed. There's no such white box into this particular green box. But now if we hover, we can see that this will be the result. And if we have a closer look into this extreme right panel of this particular code inspector panel, then on selecting this you can see that this hoverable hover class is practically still in use, and the box shadow properties, everything is in use. Hoverable property has been described over here. What will be the properties? There is a transition of a box shadow of 0.25 seconds, WebKit box text shadow, everything has been described over here. So in case if you want to use a quick class, then you have to rely on those definite classes, those been defined into Materialize CSS, and you can access them and you can put them into your project in an order to gain some quick access into your project, to gain some more speed into your project. And this is the exact usage of all those classes, those being used in Materialize CSS. Get back to your project, bring on this card panel class over here, get back to your project, reload, and you can see that white text box is back in action, and on mouse hovering you can see that this hover effect is now taking place. So these are the quick classes, those been used along with this Materialize CSS. Now all we need to do, we need to examine some classes which is related on display properties. So in the next class we will be defining about some display properties into some particular elements.